"What do you mean he's heating raw chicken in the microwave?" Owen Clarke asked, narrowing his eyes at the spreadsheet in front of him. The numbers didn't lie. Store 6, the fast food location nestled between a gas station and a discount store in a strip of small-town Missouri, was dragging down the whole chain. Food waste was up. Customer satisfaction had dropped. But what really got Owen's attention was the quiet uptick in health complaints. Undercooked food, lukewarm fries, stomach issues. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to unsettle him. Owen had bought the 10-store burger chain 8 years ago from a retiring couple who built it from scratch. The first few years were rough. He'd worked like a maniac to modernize the kitchens, roll out a new training system, and build a brand people could trust. Now he led the company from a small downtown office 2 hours away, rarely visiting stores in person anymore. He got his updates from his district manager, Greg, who insisted Store 6 was just going through a rough patch and the team leaders a little old school but solid. Owen didn't buy it. He'd never met the guy, someone named Derek, apparently, but he didn't like the sound of old school when it came to food safety. So he decided to see for himself. Owen had a disguise put together, buzzed his thick brown hair, added fake glasses, swapped his usual fitted button-downs for a loose polo and khakis. He looked nothing like the man on the company's website or the face behind the internal training videos. Most of the staff had never seen him in person anyway. This was a fast food chain, not a family business. People came and went. He applied online under a fake name, Jake Howard. Claimed he'd just moved back home to take care of his sick uncle, said he needed part-time work. 3 days later, he got a call. His first shift was a Thursday afternoon. He showed up 15 minutes early, standing in the corner of the break room sipping from a gas station coffee cup when a young woman with a clipboard walked in. "You the new guy?" "Jake, yeah," Owen said, keeping his voice casual. "I'm Olivia Emmons. I run the front of house. Derek's the shift lead today. He'll show you the ropes. You ever work fast food before?" "Not really, just some kitchen stuff in college." She gave a tired smile. "You'll be fine. Just keep your head down and listen." At exactly 3 p.m., Derek strolled in like he owned the place. Late 30s, lean, eyes constantly scanning. He barely looked at Owen before waving him toward the back. "You're on Drive-Thru with me today," Derek said. "We're short 2 people, so don't screw around." Owen followed him through the kitchen. It was hot, cramped, and louder than he remembered. 2 fryers hissed behind them. A young guy in a stained apron was scraping burnt cheese off a grill. The Drive-Thru setup was rough. The headset Owen was given barely worked. Derek barked orders while multitasking the fryer, the headset, and the bagging station. Within an hour, Owen noticed things were off. "Is that raw chicken?" he asked, watching Derek toss a pale, thawed breast into a microwave. "Yeah," Derek said without looking up. "We ran out of the pre-cooked stuff. This just gets it warm enough so it finishes in the fryer fast." Owen felt his stomach turn. "That's not safe." "It's fine," Derek muttered. "Don't be dramatic. It hits the oil after. Plus, you think corporate's gonna send us more stock when we're already over budget. Gotta make it work." Owen didn't say anything. Not yet. He needed to see more. Over the next few hours, it got worse. Derek wiped his nose with the back of his glove and kept working. He left a tray of raw meat out for over 30 minutes. When a customer returned to complain about pink chicken, Derek shrugged and said, "Tell him it's the seasoning." Then he tossed the half-eaten sandwich in the trash and walked away. But what really hit Owen was watching Olivia cover for him. She pulled Derek aside once and said quietly, "You can't keep doing that. If we get surprise inspected, I've been here longer than you," Derek snapped. "Don't like it, report me, won't matter." Owen caught her eye. She looked frustrated but defeated. After the shift, Owen sat in his car gripping the steering wheel. He had started this chain to offer good food, done right, to give people a decent place to work. Watching this unfold made him feel like he'd failed. This wasn't old school. This was dangerous. Tomorrow he'd come back. He needed to see more, needed to talk to Olivia. And he needed to find out who in corporate had been covering for Derek all this time. Owen arrived for his second shift just before noon, slipping through the back entrance as instructed. The kitchen light flickered overhead as he clocked in. Olivia, already on register, gave him a small nod but didn't say much. Her eyes looked heavier than yesterday. He noticed she was wearing the same shoes, frayed around the edges, soles nearly flat. Derek was already yelling at someone near the prep station. "I don't care what the printout says, we're not prepping that much lettuce. We threw half of it out yesterday. Use half the bin and move on." The teenager he was berating, probably no older than 17, mumbled something and kept chopping. Derek turned and saw Owen. "You're on front register today. Olivia's gonna run drive-through. Don't screw up the POS or I'll pull you off." Owen nodded and kept his expression neutral. The register was simple enough he'd helped design the interface during the last system overhaul, but he let himself fumble through it on purpose, asking Olivia a few questions while she handed out bags at the window. "Is it always this short-staffed?" he asked low enough that Derek wouldn't hear. She didn't look at him. Mondays and Wednesdays hit hardest. "We're supposed to have 6 people, but 2 quit last week and Greg said we can't replace them until next month." Greg being district comes around once a week, usually just sits in the office with Derek. He doesn't see much. As the lunch rush picked up, Owen focused on the customers. A woman with 2 toddlers ordered a kid's meal and asked for the fries extra crispy. Derek called back, "We're not a steakhouse." They get what they get. Then he dumped a half-cooked batch into the tray and hit the bell twice. Owen handed over the bag with an apology. The woman didn't respond, just walked away with tight lips. The next customer, a man in a faded delivery uniform, leaned on the counter while waiting. "This place used to be cleaner," he muttered, "and faster." Before Owen could respond, Derek appeared behind the counter. "No loitering. Pick up your food and go." The man narrowed his eyes. "I just paid, give me 30 seconds. Derek leaned forward, voice low. "I said move." The customer grabbed his bag and left without another word. Owen watched the door swing shut behind him. "Why push people like that?" Owen asked. Derek didn't answer. He was already turning away, calling out a new order. By 2 o'clock, the line was gone. Olivia wiped down the counter while Owen restocked napkins. The teen from earlier, his name tag read Lewis, came out of the back rubbing his wrist. "You okay?" Owen asked. "Yeah, just sliced too fast. Got lucky." Owen looked down and saw the edge of a thin bandage under Lewis's glove. "You report it," Lewis hesitated. "Told Derek. He said it wasn't deep enough to file." Owen said nothing, but the weight of that settled in his chest. He knew the policy: any on-shift injury, no matter how small, had to be logged. In the lull, Derek pulled out a folding chair from the closet and flopped into it just behind the fryer line, scrolling through his phone. Olivia kept working. Lewis dumped a fryer basket. Owen restocked the drink lids. Derek didn't move. "Do breaks work different here?" Owen asked Olivia. She glanced at the chair, then back at him. "If you ask for one, you get attitude, so you just don't ask." That evening, after the shift ended, Owen stayed behind to help clean. Derek had already left, said something about needing to check numbers, but drove off 5 minutes after clocking out. Owen caught up with Olivia near the mop sink. "How long's it been like this?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. She twisted the mop into the bucket, then leaned against the wall. "Derek's been here 5 years. He wasn't always this bad, but once Greg started letting him run things his way, it got worse. People who pushed back got their hours cut. A few got transferred. Now people just keep their heads down. You ever report it to the hotline?" She gave a short laugh. "You think they don't know? Greg's the one who signs off on the hours. You think he doesn't notice when Derek logs off early every shift but still gets paid for full time?" Owen nodded slowly. "Why do you stay?" She shrugged. "My sister's in nursing school. I cover rent." "It's not forever." The next day, Owen arrived early again. Lewis was already in the back prepping. Olivia was checking inventory. Derek hadn't shown up yet. "You always open?" Owen asked Lewis. "Usually, Derek doesn't come in till 10. I do his open checklist. You get paid extra for that? Lewis gave a short laugh. Nah, I've asked. He says it's part of being a team player. At 10:15, Derek walked in, sipping an energy drink and tapping on his phone. He didn't acknowledge anyone. Then a woman walked in mid-40s, sharp suit, clipboard in hand. Health inspector, Owen recognized her from a training seminar years ago. Her name was Patricia. She didn't recognize him. Derek straightened up fast. Didn't know you were scheduled today, he said. Patricia raised an eyebrow. That's the point. She started her walkthrough. Owen watched from the register as her pen hovered over her checklist, pausing often. She pulled Lewis aside, asked about prep logs. Then she found the mop bucket still half full from last night. Then she opened the cooler and frowned. She didn't yell, she just kept writing. Derek followed her like a shadow, trying to explain things away. We had a new guy on close, didn't do the mop. We're retraining him. Patricia turned to Olivia. Who closed last night, Derek, Olivia said, not looking up. Derek's face tightened. I did, but I was covering for Marco. He called out, we were short, I had to rush. Patricia didn't respond. She walked into the dry storage room. A minute later she called out, who left these boxes on the floor? No one answered. Violation, she said flatly. By noon, the inspection wrapped. Derek walked her out, trying to recover ground. She shook his hand, gave him a copy of the preliminary report, and left. Owen watched as Derek flipped through the pages, his jaw tightening. Lazy kids, he muttered. Always leave stuff half done. I'm not babysitting everyone. He tossed the report onto the counter and turned to Lewis. You're staying an extra hour tonight, gotta fix this crap. Lewis looked startled. I have school. Then come in early tomorrow, your choice. Owen stepped forward. That's not how scheduling works. We can't just. Derek cut him off. You've been here 2 days, don't tell me how to run my store. Olivia stepped between them. He's right, you can't just throw hours around like that, Derek snapped. You want your schedule cut again. Because that can be arranged. Owen's hand tightened at his side. He'd seen enough. He stepped back, pulled out his phone, and made a call. The store went quiet as he spoke into the receiver. Get Greg here now. Derek's eyes narrowed. Who are you calling? Owen ended the call and looked up. My name's Owen Clarke. I own this company. Lewis dropped the spatula he was holding. Olivia froze. Derek's mouth opened, but nothing came out. I've been watching for 3 days, and what I've seen is unacceptable. Unsafe food handling, employee intimidation, time theft, manipulation of scheduling, health code violations, and now retaliation threats. You're done here. Derek took a step forward. You don't understand what it's like to run this place. We're under budget. We don't get support. Owen didn't flinch. You had support. You abused it. He turned to Olivia and Lewis. You two stay, everyone else take your break. I'll be meeting with each of you. He looked at Derek again. Clock out now. Security's on the way to escort you off-site. Derek stood there, breathing heavily. Then, without another word, he turned and walked to the back. The door slammed behind him. Olivia let out a long breath. Lewis sat down hard on the bench by the lockers. Owen looked at them both. This changes today. I promise. And for the first time, he meant it not just as a slogan, but as a vow. Owen stepped into the back office, closed the door behind him, and sat in the stiff plastic chair across from Olivia. The room smelled faintly of old grease and lemon cleaner. A single wall fan buzzed in the corner, struggling to cut through the lingering heat. The paperwork Derek had left behind sat in a disorganized pile on the desk, unfiled schedules, food order receipts with scribbled corrections, and a logbook that hadn't been updated in nearly a week. He looked up at her. I need to know who else has been holding this place together. She didn't hesitate. Lewis opens most mornings. He's only 17, but he does more than anyone. Jasmine runs the grill. When she's here, she's smart, quiet, but she's been asking for more hours for months. We had someone named Malik who cleaned like no one else, but he left after Derek told him he looked too slow and cut his shifts. Owen's jaw tightened. She continued. We've got maybe 5 people who actually care. The rest rotate out. No one stays long. He stood and reached for the schedule pinned to the corkboard. It had Derek's handwriting all over it, crossed out names, last-minute shift swaps, overlapping times that didn't line up with recorded hours. "Has Greg ever reviewed these?" She gave a short nod. He glances. But he signs off without asking questions. They go out for coffee during inspections. Derek always says he's just keeping things smooth. Owen folded the schedule and slipped it into his pocket. Greg's on his way. "I'll handle him." When he stepped back into the kitchen, Lewis was spraying down the prep table. He looked up warily, unsure whether to speak. Owen waved him over. "Sit," Owen said, motioning to the break bench. Lewis wiped his hands on his apron and sat down, posture tense. "You're in school?" Lewis nodded. "Community college, culinary track." Owen leaned forward. "You want a future in food?" "I do," he said, then hesitated. "I used to, I don't know anymore." "Why?" Lewis glanced toward the door. "I thought I'd learn something here." "But it's just been clean this, fix that, cover for people who don't show up. I don't even mind working, I just haven't learned anything." Owen rubbed a hand across his jaw. "That's going to change. You've been showing up, doing the hard part." "That tells me more than a resume ever could." Footsteps echoed from the front. Olivia poked her head through the service window. "Greg just pulled up. He's talking to the cashier outside." Owen stood. "Keep things steady back here, I'll bring him in." He walked out to the front lobby. Greg was leaning against the front counter, chatting with a cashier Owen hadn't met, tall, wiry, barely paying attention to the register's beeping alerts. Greg spotted Owen and frowned. "Can I help you?" "I'm Owen Clarke." The color drained slightly from Greg's face. His eyes flicked to the cashier, then back. I didn't know you'd be on site." "No one did, that was the point." Greg straightened, adjusting his collar. "Is this about the inspection?" "Patricia tends to overreact. I can talk with her. We'll fix it." Owen gestured toward the back. "Let's talk in private." Inside the office, Greg took the seat Derek had used earlier. His hands fidgeted at his sides. Owen stayed standing. "You've been district manager for 2 years, Owen said. Greg nodded. "Yes. I took over after Natalie retired. You've had full oversight of this location during that time. I've done my best to keep it running. It's a tough area, high turnover, low applicant pool." Owen pulled the folded schedule from his pocket and laid it flat on the desk. "You signed off on this?" Greg glanced at it. "Looks like Derek's schedule. He usually handles that. He's assigning hours to people not even on staff anymore. He's altering recorded shift times. He's logging himself extra hours he wasn't present for." Greg didn't respond. "Did you know about the raw chicken being microwaved?" Greg blinked. "That's not possible. It happened yesterday, and based on what I saw, it's not the first time." Greg shifted in his seat. "Derek said the stock delivery missed a case. He was improvising with unsafe food handling is not a policy, it's a liability." Greg tried to recover. "Look, I didn't know it was that bad. I thought he was managing. We prioritize the higher volume stores. This one's always been borderline. I figured if he kept labor costs down, you figured wrong." Owen cut in. "You ignored red flags for over a year. You allowed retaliation, overlooked safety violations, and failed to act on multiple staffing complaints." Greg opened his mouth, then closed it again. Owen stepped closer. "You're being suspended effective immediately. HR will contact you by end of day. Any attempt to interfere with current staff or systems will be grounds for termination." Greg stood slowly, face pale. "I thought I was helping. You weren't." Greg walked out without another word. Owen remained in the office for a moment, taking in the silence. Then he stepped back into the kitchen. Olivia was restocking sauce trays. She looked up. "He gone? For now, I'll be back with HR tomorrow. We'll sit down with everyone, get full statements. Rebuild the schedule from scratch." She nodded once, then returned to work. By late afternoon, Jasmine arrived for her shift. Owen introduced himself briefly and asked her to join him in the office. She sat down, arms crossed, clearly unsure what to expect. "I'm not here to fire anyone," he said. "But I am here to listen." Jasmine relaxed slightly. I didn't think you'd ever show up. People upstairs never do. I should have been here sooner. She looked toward the prep area. I don't want much, just hours that make sense and a manager who actually listens. You'll get both, Owen said. Starting now. He had one more conversation to finish. After the dinner rush tapered off, the tall cashier from earlier stepped into the back, finally off register. Owen waited until he finished wiping down the counter, then approached. What's your name? Ty, you've been here long. Few weeks. Started when my cousin left. Why'd he leave? Ty shrugged. Said the guy in charge was a jerk, wasn't lying. Owen nodded. You like working here? Ty tilted his head. I don't mind it, pays better than the last place. But everyone's always tense. What would it take to keep you here? Ty thought for a moment. Clear rules, fair shifts. Not being talked down to. Fair enough. Owen returned to the office and began drafting a list names of those who were staying, those who needed training, and those who deserved raises. He didn't plan to micromanage. But he'd install a new interim manager, someone from another store who understood standards and respect. He'd authorize hazard pay for those who'd worked under Derek's supervision for over a month. He'd also schedule a third-party training team to recertify food safety across the location. Before he left, he pulled Lewis aside one last time. You still want to learn? Lewis looked surprised, then nodded. I'm setting up a mentorship program. You'll get assigned to one of our head trainers at the flagship store twice a week. Paid time, transportation covered. Lewis blinked. Seriously, you've earned it. As Owen stepped out into the cooling night air, he knew the real work wasn't over. But for the first time in a long while, he felt the foundation shifting back into place quietly, steadily, the way real change always begins. The next morning, Owen arrived just before sunrise, this time without the disguise. He wore a plain gray button-down jeans and a company badge clipped to his belt. The staff who had worked the overnight cleanup shift were just clocking out, and the few scheduled for morning prep were trickling in, rubbing sleep from their eyes and tying aprons behind their backs. He waited until the kitchen lights were fully on and the opening checklist halfway complete before gathering everyone in the dining area. A few employees hovered near the soda machine, unsure whether they were supposed to sit or keep prepping. Owen waved them in. We'll be brief, he said, facing the group. There have been changes. Derek is no longer employed here. Greg has been placed on leave pending an internal investigation. He scanned their faces. I know that's abrupt. But it was necessary. Lewis leaned forward slightly in his chair, his fingers clasped tightly in his lap. Olivia stood with her arms resting at her sides, no longer folded, just waiting. Owen continued. We're not here to clean up a mess and vanish. We're building something better. That's going to take time. Starting today, we're doing things differently. He nodded toward a woman who had entered quietly with a clipboard tucked under her arm. This is Dana. She's stepping in as interim manager. She's been with us for 6 years, ran our busiest store through 2 expansions, and knows the system inside and out. She doesn't tolerate shortcuts or excuses. But she does listen. Dana gave a brief nod. I expect effort, she said, not perfection. If you don't understand something, ask. If something breaks, say it. If you want to grow here, work with me, not around me. A few heads nodded cautiously. Ty, now wearing a clean crew shirt, leaned against the wall and watched her without blinking. Owen stepped back in. Next, we're rolling out adjusted schedules. You'll each get a one-on-one meeting with Dana this week to go over hours, responsibilities, and what you're looking for long-term. If you're only here for a paycheck, say that. If you want to move up, say that too. You'll be heard. Jasmine raised a hand. What if we ask for more hours and there still aren't any? Owen didn't dodge it. Then we'll tell you that. But we're not going to dangle empty promises. If this store performs like it should, you'll have more than enough to go around. She nodded once and said nothing more. After the meeting, the staff returned to their stations. Dana walked the kitchen with a checklist, correcting a mislabeled container in the walk-in and flagging a small leak under the sink for maintenance. She didn't raise her voice or rush anyone. She just kept moving steadily, clipboard in hand, jotting down what needed fixing and who was doing it. Owen stayed on site throughout the day, stepping in only when asked. Around mid-morning, a delivery arrived, short 2 crates of produce. Dana had already pulled up the supplier contact and was on the phone before the driver had finished signing the drop sheet. By noon, the atmosphere had shifted. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Orders came through the drive-thru at a steady pace. No one snapped. No one cut corners. Owen watched as Olivia rewrapped a sandwich that had been bagged with the wrong sauce, without being told. Ty took over the headset when the line backed up and coached a quieter team member through the new menu screen. In the afternoon, Owen asked Lewis to join him by the back prep counter. They stood where the noise thinned out just past the ice machine. "You still thinking about culinary school?" Owen asked. Lewis looked unsure. I didn't drop out, but it's hard to stay focused when work's a mess." "It won't stay a mess." "And I meant what I said about the mentorship. First session's next week. Dana's already cleared your schedule." Lewis blinked. "Seriously, you'll shadow one of our corporate chefs, not just burger assembly. You'll learn inventory flow, prep theory, and how to lead a kitchen. You give us your time, we invest in your future." Lewis nodded slowly, like it was taking a second to land. "I won't waste it," he finally said. "I don't think you will." Around 4, Owen and Dana sat down in the office and reviewed the files retrieved from Derek's old desktop. Dana flipped through pages of old shift logs, noting discrepancies between clock times and actual sales volume. She pulled up the camera logs and matched timestamps to Derek's entries. It confirmed everything Owen had seen firsthand. "I'll send this to HR," she said. "They'll handle the rest." "But this isn't just a Derek problem." Owen leaned back in the chair. "No, it's a blind spot problem, and that's on me." Dana looked up. "Are you planning to stay involved here long term?" "Yes," Owen said. "Not in the weeds, but I'm setting up a new regional oversight role. Someone who rotates across all stores unannounced, reports to me directly. This doesn't happen again," she nodded. "Good." By early evening, the dinner rush picked up. Owen stayed out of the way, observing from behind the line. The staff moved more fluidly now. The fryer station was stocked and clean. The drive-thru window stayed clear. Dana adjusted placement mid-shift, moving Ty to the register and Olivia back to bagging after seeing where the slowdown was. No complaints. It worked. Outside, a man in business slacks picked up a to-go order and complimented the speed. Jasmine thanked him without glancing up from her station, focused on the next wrap. At closing, Owen stood outside the building, watching as the last customer pulled away. The parking lot was quiet. The yellow glow of the signage reflected off the hood of his car. Dana locked up behind him and pocketed the keys. "She's holding," she said simply. "She'll do better than that," Owen replied. He turned to Olivia, who was pulling her backpack over one shoulder. "I owe you more than a thank you," he said. She raised a brow. "You owe me a working freezer and a mop that doesn't smell like vinegar." "We'll start there," he said. She gave a tired laugh. "Good." He watched her walk toward her car, then turned back to Dana. "Think she'd make a good assistant manager?" he asked. Dana didn't hesitate. "Train her right and she'll outwork most people I've met." "Then let's train her." That night, Owen didn't drive straight home. He stopped by the flagship location and walked through the kitchen unannounced. Not to check, just to reconnect. He spoke briefly with the closing crew, thanked them for staying late after a last-minute birthday party reservation, and made a note of a new sandwich variation one of the cooks suggested. The job wasn't finished. It never would be. But something had shifted in him these past few days. He'd set out to fix a broken store. Instead, he'd rediscovered the reason he'd built the chain in the first place. Not for margins. Not for brand growth. For the people behind the counter who showed up when no one was watching. And he'd make sure they never had to work in silence again.